Hi guys, so today I wanted to film a video around some tips on makeup that I've learned over the past 6 months to a year, I want to say. Products that I absolutely ride or die for, techniques that I absolutely ride or die for. To be clear, I'm not a makeup artist. I literally just really enjoy makeup. I am a makeup collector. I love playing with makeup. I love buying makeup. This is just some stuff that I've learned from watching things like Robert Welsh videos on placement and things like that. Ignore my nails. I really need to get some nail varnish remover because this is just embarrassing. I'm gonna stop talking. I'm going to scoot you guys in so you can see me apply everything. I will also show this in natural light so you guys can see through a ring light versus actual natural light. Let's get into this. Okay, so the first thing is priming my face. I always prime my face before I do eyeshadow and before I do the rest of my face makeup. This is so that my skin has time to absorb any of the primer. To be honest, I genuinely can't be arsed with primer these days. The only thing I do is put on a setting spray. I was using the NYX Bear With Me for a really long time. But I will say, because I'm oily, it doesn't really combat my oils. So one of these kind of like long-lasting setting sprays is better. This is by Emme Cosmetics. Let's soak in just a second. Eyeshadow primer is a must. It always has been for me. I'm oily. I know people with dry skin can use concealer on their lids. If I use concealer, I just get a big line. The only thing I will say, melted Too Faced. If you want a really quick, just throw all over your lid shadow. They do warm tones, they do deeper tones, they even do a cream colour if you just want something like fair skinned like me. You can literally just throw this on your lid, blend it out, and you're done. Otherwise, I use my Urban Decay eyeshadow primer foundation. I just like that this one's my skin tone sort of shade. This is in Eden. Okay, so rather than use my finger to pat that out and then having to like clean my finger off, I just have a brush, Real Techniques concealer brush. I use something that's kind of dense just to blend this all over my eye. It's just quicker, easier, and less messy. I mentioned this in a recent video. This is my go-to palette nowadays. The Supreme Nudes Quickie palette. I didn't realise how much I would use this. This is a more cooler to neutral tone palette. So what I tend to do is I use this grey shade and I get a nice big fluffy brush. This is actually a Jaclyn Hill Morphe brush. I just loved how big and fluffy this brush is. It's hard to find really super big fluffy brushes like this. This is the JH30. And I literally just press that into my crease and then sort of use the big fluffiness to sort of blend it out, and I make sure to bring it a little bit just lightly up and out here so that my eye starts to be lifted. We're going to do a lot of lifting today because I have a very circular face. I like to have it look more angled, like with more high cheekbones, jawline, things like that. So there are tips throughout this that I'm going to show you how I do that. And angling your eyeshadow, so just following your lash line up like this, just seems to really help me. So I'm using a cool tone because I love cool tones. Warm tones were the thing, don't get me wrong, but I don't use warm tones almost ever nowadays. I'm actually considering decluttering every warm tone I have, but I'm worried that in like 6 months time I'll be like, oh, I really want some warm tones. I love warm tones again. And then my whole collection I've just decluttered, I'm gonna want back in my life. But I've always kind of leaned towards cool tones. I think I just liked warm tones because it was like the thing of the moment. Whereas cool tones are very 90s and in, and that's very much my thing. I think I prefer cool tones because I have like this pinky neutral undertone, and I think cool tones actually work better. Warm tones can work, don't get me wrong, but I personally feel like I prefer the colour on my skin than a warm tone nowadays. Next I'm going to use, I'm just going to do like a matte look today. I'm going to use this darker shade and just pat that. So this is the other thing, I feel like blending immediately, not put down enough colour in the place you really want it. I feel like it gets messy quickly, so I tend to pat my colour where I want it and then just blend lightly on the edges. And then if I want a bit more, I can go in for a bit more and then like I want just a tiny bit in the crease. So that's why I'm immediately going to light blend. If I wanted it to be a deeper colour in the crease, I would pat it and then blend it. You can also pat to blend. You don't necessarily even have to do windscreen wiper motions. So I'm going to the office. To be honest, this is the sort of neutral look I will go for nowadays. I used to do some really cool eye looks going into work, but I'm used to sleeping in to 6 o'clock now. So I'm just blending out my crease just to make sure that that deep shade didn't come in too far. And then I'm taking the opposite side of this brush, this dirty brush, and taking that cream shade and just brightening that inner part of my lid. Then take just the tip of the brush that's got some colour and just use that to blend that edge. Okay, so what I've learnt with concealer is not to go too light. Before I was using shades like this Urban Decay. I mean, I still have to use these shades up obviously, so I kind of just mix them together. It's not white, but it's very light. This is in Fair Neutral. And then I have this, which is Cool Fair. Again, I see Cool Undertone by Collection. This in the Milani like rose tone really help cancel out. I don't know how well you can tell, but this is a lot lighter than this one. Like, you would think that would make a huge difference, but it does. It's too bright under the eyes. I always call it the Robert Welsh trick, but he has said that it's not even his really. So I put about that much because I have quite deep under eyes here, and then my concealer here. This is to clean up and to angle my eye because I've created shadow here and highlight here will hopefully angle my face. I haven't put it straight out, I've put it angled upwards. And then if I have any blemishes, my skin's not too bad today. A couple of blemishes around my nose. Normally, to be honest, I use something like this, but I used this for eyeshadow recently. Basically what I do, I press and then pull it downwards. So I'm completely ignoring this part of my eye, and I will go in later to completely cover that. But to blend this part of the concealer upwards, blend out the rest of it, and we'll go back in a minute. Obviously, concealer on my face, I'm just blending as normal. I have very deep creases in my eyes. I'm either going to have to get Botox or just live with it. But the best way to minimise as much of that like concealer falling into those lines is to basically mist them. So now I've completely missed that. Now I can go with whatever is left on my brush directly up underneath my lash line. What Robert Welsh has said, the lines under your eyes, it's a bit like a cat pulling on curtains. The more weight, the more it's going to pull. So you can still see there's a bit of a line, but it's nothing like it used to be. Then I use a loose powder underneath my eye, and it has to be something that's nice and light. I literally almost finished this. I have a spare. So I've done my concealer and the powder underneath my concealer very similarly. Now to contour. So if you have a face like mine, which is very round, it does look more like oval today. I don't know why. I have a very round face, especially considering I have this like flap of skin here, which I cannot get rid of. If I want to get rid of it, I think I'm going to have to actually have surgery. What I've realised is powder contour just will not do it for me. When I say contour, I mean a cold contour, not a bronzer. What I do is I'll take a cream contour and I take it here. So I create this shadow so it cuts off that part of my face, making it more angular, and I also do the same underneath my jawline. So I don't just go under my jaw, I create shadow around this part of my jaw as well. If you have a very similar face shape to me, play around with your contour to see what's best suited to your face. I've just found that this sort of shadow helps my face. Don't always go in the ones that they show you online, play around with stuff. So then I literally just press it to blend it in. So the other reason I use cream contour powder products, I find, is that they wear off pretty easy. Like I feel like within about 6 hours it's disappeared. Whereas with cream products, they tend to withhold throughout the day for a lot longer. That goes for cream blush, cream bronzer, and cream highlight. So I'm literally just pressing. The reason I'm pressing and not swiping is because it'll lift the product. If you've got foundation on, it can lift the foundation and make it appear unblended and patchy. But if you press, it also keeps it exactly where you placed it, rather than if you're swiping it, end up getting kind of messy and not be exactly, again, where you placed it. So the reason I've done it on bare skin is because I'm going to be using powder foundation. That's the other thing. I feel like powder foundation is just my best friend. They were an underrated product for a long time. I know this is very yellow, but it does come out okay. So I always use either a puff where I can press it onto my skin, or a dense brush. You can also use foundation brushes, so if you don't have to go out and buy special brushes. Dense foundation kabuki kind of brushes do exactly the same. So you can see here's quite a lot of product. I don't go anywhere near my under eye. Firstly, I've already said it, and powder foundation is a lot heavier than a loose setting powder, so that's why I miss that. With the cream contour, I just go lightly over the top, just to blend it down a little bit so it's more natural, but not completely lose it. So now I have my powder foundation on. I feel like I still have yet to find the perfect bronzer for me. The closest is my Milani Soft Matte bronzer. I've hit pan on that, so I'm trying to use some other products. This is by Tarte. This is the Park Avenue Princess palette, and I'm going to use this one in the middle just because it's the coldest. I sometimes use a little bit just to warm up my face with these ones. Bronzer placement is pretty important, so is blush placement. Bronzer, blush, highlight and brows and contour really help sculpt your face. Play around with whether you're angling it. If you have a longer face and you want it to be more round, especially bring your blush more on like the apples of your cheeks and things like that, really rounds out the face. Like playing with placement really changes like the angles of your face. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm kind of pressing it along the contour. You should never have your blush meet your contour or your bronzer meet your highlight. It should always be highlight, blush, bronzer, contour. Highlight and blush can meet, blush and bronzer can meet, and bronzer and contour can meet, but none of the others should meet, if that makes sense. So I'm literally just going to press. Oh, I forgot to also mention, where you have your hand makes a difference. If you want some control, but you don't want like too much pigment, then have it around the middle. I accidentally had it around here when I was pressing it. Don't do that, because otherwise you can have a mark. Thankfully this is quite a blendable bronzer. So again, I'm just like patting backwards and forwards along that line, so it's angled like this. Again, highlighting the shadow, pulling this part, and then I'm going to have everything else pulling upwards this way. I completely learnt this all from Robert Welsh, by the way. I'm just going to take a little bit of that and this warmer one. I'm going to place this. I don't have a huge forehead, so I don't like to put too much bronzer on. I do like to connect it around sort of here. So I just kind of keep my bronzer up into this corner. I might do like a sweep across here just so it doesn't look like a big white line. Oh, I will say as well, haircuts make a huge difference. When I had a pixie cut sort of thing, it very much showed how round my face was. You can always just blend with your powder foundation brush, just to blend it backwards a little bit. You can always go in and just correct. Next, I always do highlight. I do highlight before my blush, so my highlight doesn't look like it's sitting on top of my blush and looks a bit more natural. I still use beaming highlights. I'm going to use I haven't used this for a while. This is my Urban Decay powder highlighter in Sin. Now, I always tend to go for something very champagne-y, and that's because it disappears, it looks more natural. So I feel like because I'm very fair-skinned, this and I do have a pinkier highlight by Wet n Wild that I feel like does a really good job also under a really pinky blush. Is really pretty. Take my highlight, and you should put your highlight where the light hits. I still put it in a way that I personally like for my face. It helps my face look more angular, I feel like. So I put it on this part, obviously, of my cheekbone. I also take it through my brow. This saves me, first of all, from highlighting my brow bone because I always forget. And also it brings the light again on this area, which pulls my face, I feel like. I don't take it too far in. If I take it more to here, as much as I love highlight on the dimple of my cheek, it pulls my face into this point more and makes it more round. So I kind of need to just keep it onto this high point here and no further than basically my eyeball. So completely keep this part blank. I hope this is helpful. I feel like these are these things that you learn as you go along. I'm still going to learn as I go along. And I mean, my face shape is going to change probably. Okay, I'll also take it down my nose. I know you should only really put it in the dimple part of your nose here and then here, but I like it all the way down my nose. Not loads, not like super intense, but like a natural glow. Okay, now my favourite part, blush. I tend to use naturaler blushes. This is one of my favourites. This is by KVD. This is Honeysuckle. Again, it's not warm tone, it's like a more neutral colour. You don't really get any fallout with this blush, it's really weird. What I do with my blush, I press it and I bring it upwards here, like this. So it's almost like an 80s blush because it comes up almost towards my eye here. And then again, I'm missing this part of my face. So my face is still blushed, but it's just in the parts that I want it to be blushed. So again, that's sort of like, it semi cuts off my face, so my face looks more oval. This is a very fucking overpriced Makeup Forever brush. I bought this simply because of Kathleen Lights. I'm tempted to do another one of those dedicated videos, and I kind of want to do one for Kathleen. Although Kathleen's, I hate to say it, has really been lacking on uploads recently. She's sorely missed. Doesn't matter if your blush goes over your highlight because that will make it look a lot more naturally youthful and glowy. So if you ever feel like you go over the top, you can go over with what you used underneath your eyes because that will have a little bit of powder left on it, and you can just lightly go over any spots. You can also go in with brightening powders and things like that just to clean up. When I used to naturally still bring my blush in here to clean up, I used to go in with this brush and just clean up here. Just go in, correct things, make them how you want them to look. Okay, brows. Firstly, I'm back to using a pencil because the NYX brow tip, as much as I like it, if I have it upside down, it leaks. I used to have the exact same problem with the Epic ink liner, so I feel like pencils are just still the easiest option. So just brush through my brows, and again, I'm brushing them upwards because I like having super feathery looking brows. And I'll use this is a Pony Effect pencil. So the first thing I do is I use my pencil to create brow hairs at the front. And then I follow the natural middle of my brow because that part's fine. But as you may have noticed, I don't really have a tail to my brow, and that's because I shaved it off. The reason I did that, again, this is just personal preference, my brow naturally curves around here, which, because I have a round face, makes sense, but I don't want them to do that. Like I said, brows can really make a difference to your face shape, and if I bring my brow more outwards this way, not like completely straight, don't get me wrong, but if it's not curved downwards here, like the natural curve of my face, more oval shape that I'm sort of aiming for. So light strokes. There we go. So it just looks like semi-natural. They are definitely not twins. I'm just going to blend through that with the spoolie. Very dirty spoolie, but who cleans their brow pencil spoolies? Next is some sort of brow gel. So I still use, don't get me wrong, a tinted brow gel, and if I'm going to use a tinted brow gel, it tends to be I actually love the e.l.f. Wow Brow. I think that's amazing. If you are going to use a tinted brow gel, start in the middle of your brow because the most pigment is going to be on initial application, and then start to move towards the tail and the front and blend that colour out and whatever's left on the spoolie. This is a clear brow gel. This is the NYX Brow Glue. This and the Benefit one are like my all-time favourites. So because this is clear, I can go straight in at the front, and I like these because it makes my brows look feathery without me having to put any additional colour in. So you don't actually have to put a tint in your brow hairs to make them look fluffy. Because I have very long brow hairs, I really don't need to do that. I do have the Nude Sticks one. I genuinely don't feel like that holds up my brow hairs. I don't know if my brow hairs are just too long. So if you, I don't know how well you can tell. You'll probably be able to tell in more natural light in a minute. They still look fluffy, which is what I like. They quickly use whatever's left of my brush to just blend something under my eye. Okay, so before I go in with mascara, which is very important, I'm going to put something on my inner corner. A little tip that I literally taught myself. I tend to do this more if I'm wearing a lot of eyeshadows. This is a more natural look, but I will use just a little bit to show you. Have more intense looks. If it's a warmer look, I'll use this one by Kiko. This is a Holiday Fable. They always do these sort of like really, really shiny, like it's very intense. Again, I wouldn't use this as a highlighter because you can see it there, but on the inner corners it's incredible. If I'm doing a more cool tone look, I'll use this Essence Melted Chrome. I don't even think you can get this anymore, but it's almost silver. Again, it looks like a shadow on my hand. It doesn't disappear like the other one, so it's not a highlight. If I'm just doing a more natural one, I'll still use my highlight for this. The reason I do this is because, again, I have very like dark in my eyes. I do my inner corner like most people would, okay? And then I take whatever's left on the brush and I naturally pull it towards here. Towards my brow, but not touching my brow. Almost like in a half moon shape. And that means that any darkness that I may have accidentally blended, you can also just clean up with a concealer brush. It just brings a lot of life to that part of my face. I do this sometimes with eyeliners. The Anastasia Beverly Hills like Gilded Gold. This by Linda Hallberg is also really gorgeous. Really beautiful shade. This is in Deo Flash. I curl my lashes because that doesn't have anything to do with my face shape, but it does make a difference in making sure that once you put your mascara on, it can actually hold your curl. I'm going to take a bog standard mascara so I can show you how well this actually does for my lashes. I know some people do like the Big Mood. It's not a terrible mascara. I'm not saying this is an absolutely god-awful mascara. This is by e.l.f. It's just not my favourite. I didn't want to use my favourite mascara and then be like, look how good it is. It's already a good mascara. The way I do my mascara, again, this is nothing to do with face shape, it's just like a tip that I've sort of figured out along the way, is that to get the most out of my mascara, I actually blink slowly into it. And I feel like that helps coat all the lashes, because rather than having to wiggle and possibly get stuff all over your lid, I mean, you can still get stuff on your lid. I'll do it quickly on the other side and see if that makes a difference. But you can see already, again, this is not the best mascara, but I feel like because I'm blinking and I'm starting at the bottom and then blinking my way up to the top, it is actually coating the lash without you even having to try. I will wiggle at the bottom because you can't really blink into your bottom lashes. If you do get mascara on your lid, I will show you how to clean that up. It's really easy. The thing I don't like about this brush is because it is so big, it's hard to do your bottom lash line without getting mascara all over your lash line. Now, always going with 2 coats, so I'm going to let that dry for a second. I should get my fan. My fan's over there, but like I said, this isn't even my favourite mascara, but this is the best way to get the most out of your mascaras. It's just too much on this stupid wand. When your mascara is dried on your lid, the easiest thing to do is get a blending brush. Literally just blend it and it will just fall off. There you go. Gone. Lastly is lips. First of all, again, I go cool tone. One of my favourites, I have another cool tone by Colourpop called Ashton. I don't know where the fuck it went. But this is in Cool BFF, and the only thing I don't like about Colourpop is the way that these things, when you start sharpening them, they just literally fucking fall out. But this is literally one of my favourite cool tones. So I'm just going to line my lips. Actually, I'm going to fill in my lips, I should say. This is not a tip, this is simply just my favourite cool tone lip glosses. Okay, that's really annoying because my favourite cool tone lip gloss has like disappeared. So I will leave a picture of it here. These are my other two favourite cool tone lip glosses by Give Me Glow Cosmetics. This is in Gorgeous Grunge. You can see again, super cool, cold tone. And then the NYX This Is Milky Gloss in Cookies and Milk, which is what I'm going to wear today. You can see it's a bit more neutral than this one. This one's super, super cold. So I want to show you this one on the lips because it's easier to get a hold of and it's super wet looking. It's really comfy as well. Let me take you to natural light so you can see it. It doesn't always look perfect. This is natural light and this is what my face looks like. I hope that helped. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you found these tips helpful, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe if you feel like it. I'd really appreciate it. If you do want proper tips on all face shapes, just go follow Robert Welsh. He is an incredible makeup artist. He actually does makeup on lots of different faces. He's trained. I'm not. I have literally just learned by failure. But I do makeup reviews, so if you want to see like an everyday person review different makeup items, please subscribe because I would really appreciate it. I also do other content like reactions and commentary as well. So if you enjoy any of that, please make sure to subscribe. But I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye!